Now it's time to discuss problems regarding capitalized cost, and let me read the problem first for number 21. Calculate the capitalized cost of a project that has an initial cost of 3 million and an additional investment cost of 1 million at the end of every 10 years. The annual operating cost will be 100,000 at the end of every year for the first 4 years and 160,000 thereafter. In addition, there is expected to be recurring major rework cost of 300,000 every 13 years. Assume that our interest rate is equal to 15%. Now, since wala naman sinabi if this is compounded annually or monthly, so we'll just assume na this is annually, no? Okay. And then let's have the cash flow diagram since this is very essential in this problem. Now, this is the time frame of our problem, and let's start with the initial cost of 3 million. So let's have an arrow down, meaning nagbayad tayo nung initial cost that is 3 million. Okay? And then that is on the, let's say, 0 dito, no? And then, sabi dito, the annual operating, an additional investment cost of 1 million at the end of every 10 years. So in short, if you have, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, siguro ganyan na lang, no? So at the end of every 10 years, nakakaroon tayo ng payment which is 1 million. So we can just write or draw another arrow down dito. So mga 1/3 nitong ating 3M. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and this is recurring, okay, every 10 years. So we have 1 million. Okay, and then the annual operating cost will be 100,000 at the end of every at the end of every year for the first 4 years. So meron tayong annual operating cost na 100k. Pero that is just for 4 years. So let's have it here. 1, 2, 3, and then yung fourth natin which is kasi 4 years lang. So hanggang dito lang tayo inabot ng annual operating cost, and that's 100k. So we could just use 100k dito para hindi na sobrang haba, ang dami zeros, no? And then sabi kasi 100k siya before nung 4 years, and then after that 160,000 na at the end of the period. So basically kung halimbawa meron tayong time skip dito, and then this is your n. Okay? So parang ito yung n natin. Mag-extend yung 160,000 natin hanggang dun sa dulo nitong ating period. So we could just use something like this din. Pwede namang same color lang din, but let's just use yung medyo mas malaking arrow para indicate natin na nag-increase tayo ng ng annual cost. So mapapansin nyo, puro pababa yung ating mga arrows kasi basically parang mga puro to payment lahat. So expect natin na puro sila pababa. And then this is 160k. Okay. Now, siguro meron pa dito, I think meron pa isa. And then meron dito na expected recurring major rework cost of 300,000 every 13 years. So, di ba this is 10 years. So, meron pa dito additional payment na 13. So, we have to incorporate that as well. So, siguro gamitin natin itong kulay na to. And then 13. So, 10, 11, 12, 13. So, dito siya. Okay. So, para may nag-overlap diyan, no? Kasi this one is 1 million. So, mga bando dito lang yan. 300k. Okay, so hopefully ay nag-gets nyo yung ating cash flow diagram. Medyo complicated din tong cash flow diagram na to, no? Pero yung ating I is equal to 15%. Wala man tayong medyo complicated na dito na compounding, no? Pero let's try to label this all, no? Kasi alam naman natin na ang question sa atin is capitalized cost. So if we're asked to find the capitalized cost, we need to determine kung ano bang type tong capitalized cost. Kasi diba we have 3. Kung meron ba tong recurring maintenance or just replacement. So by looking at your handout, we could say that this one is the type C, which has both the maintenance as well as the replacement. We can say na dito yon papasok sa major rework natin. Kasi imagine, kung nagre-rework ka para lagi ka may replacement. Though yun naman maintenance, pwede natin sabihin na andun din siya. Pero kasi yung ating maintenance, dito siya mas papasok sa ating operating cost na annual. Okay? So, usually ito yung mga perpetual operations natin na ginagawa. So, yun usually yung mga mga maintenance na ginagawa. Anyway, we could just solve for this, and alam naman natin na yung formula for any capitalized cost na merong type C would be CF plus A over I and then plus X, wherein yung X natin comes from the amount of principal invested at a rate of I% and the interest which will amount to S every K period. So we could just say na our X would be equal to S over something like 1 plus I raised to K minus 1. So ganito yung general natin na formula. Okay, and then yung S, syempre ito yung cost natin sa maintenance, no? Now, usually ito yung perpetual maintenance natin. Now, let's have this all, no? Pero before we could understand this mga payments natin, no? We cannot actually use this directly, itong A over I na to. Kasi, remember, though we have a perpetual maintenance na 160K simula nung after 4 years kasi, but we have to also include na na-defer siya. Not really deferred, but we need to incorporate yung portion na hindi dito nagkaroon ng maintenance. Nagkaroon ng mas mababang value ng ating perpetual cost. So, with this, we need to incorporate that as well. And then the thing here is that you can just bring this all to the present, no? Because yun lang naman yun. If you bring this to present portion, then you can just find the capitalized cost. Kasi basically, capitalized cost, ano ba yung amount na general, parang pinaka one-time, big-time cash na nagastos natin dito sa ating equipment na to. So with this, let's label all of this, diba? This one is our CF kasi ito yung parang pinakaunang bayad natin na 3 million na. Na this 100K, 160, ito yung ating mga A. Pero syempre, A1, A2 natin yan, no? Kasi magkaiba pa sila. We have to modify a little about this, ano? And then itong 1 million and then 300K na to, these are recurring costs natin sa annual operation. So we could just say na this is our S1, S2, no? Okay, so malino naman siguro tong mga parts natin, no? And let's just solve for this, no? So if we need to find the capitalized cost, we can determine our CF. So that is 3 million. So 3 times 10, gawin ko na lang is scientific notation para hindi masyado takaw space. So 3 times 10 to the 6th power. And then we add this perpetual maintenance, no? Pero how do we solve for this, no? Since this is not exactly yung perpetual maintenance kasi hindi siya nag-start dun sa 1 and then ended up with n kasi nag-iba sila. So, pwede natin gawin is let's try to bring this to the present. Pwede naman yung ganong method, no? And then, since we'll try to bring this to the present, okay? So, meron gawin natin is ibang kulay. Na ito muna ibalik natin sa present kasi medyo mas madali ito kasi tumigil na siya after 4 years. So yung una natin, using our A1, we can say na meron tayong 100K every 100, let's use 1 times 10 to the saan ba yun? 5. Okay? So this is done every year pero 4 years lang inabot. So we have 1 minus 1 plus 0.15 raised to negative 4 over 0.15. So, ito yun lang for our A1, which is 100K. But how about yung ating 160K? So, what we'll be doing is that we need to find the value at that present. Pero, diba, yung kung meron tayong perpetuity, and then you try to take the present value of that perpetuity. So, basically, ito yun. Nasa N na siya, period, no? We can just say na diba that is A over I. But then again, we have to account yung 4 years na hindi naman nagkaroon ng 160K which is 100K lang. So with that, kung mapasin yung dalawang arrow niyan, it signifies na pag nakuha mo yung present word dun sa 160, so that is 1.6 times 10 to the 5th. Then you have this, you divide this by the interest because this is already a perpetuity starting from the 5th year, diba? Pero you have to take this back dun sa hindi pa 160. So that is 4 years. Kaya meron itong 1 plus 0.15 raised to negative 4. Okay, so I hope malinaw tong portion na to. This is for our, we can use siguro tong kulay na to. Or ito na lang. So this is your parang A1 natin, no? Or S1. X1, sorry. X1, not really X1 but A1 nga, A1, tapos ito yung A2 natin, and then this one is your CF, and then finally we can determine yung last, which is 1 million and then 300k. So, yung 1 million every 10 years siya, 300k every 13 years. So, ang maganda dito sa formula to, mabilis lang siya kasi k yung yung value kasi nito is yung kung pang ilang period siya nag-occur. So, with this, kung siya is sabi dito kasi every 10 years, so yung k mo is 10 years. Kung syempre, kung usapan dito, naka-year tayo lahat And then, kung 300k, 13 years, so your k would be 13. Hindi mo kailangan, like, i-divide mo siya in terms of months or convert mo pa siya. So, just usually annually. Pero syempre, kung ang problem is technically naka-monthly to, so dapat yung period mo is monthly din. Basta parang conforming tayo sa lahat ng units. And then, we have 1 million. So, that's 1 times 10 to the 6. And then, we divide this by 1 plus 0.15 raised to k, which is occurring siya every 10th period. And then you add yung isa pa natin, which is 300k. So that is 3 times 10 to the 5th. Then divide this by 1 plus 0.15 occurring at every 13th year. Okay, so para lang din siyang annuity na baliktad lang natin. Okay, so parang you're trying to take the present worth, parang ganon nito. Okay, this is your S1, S2, hindi ko nilalagay na. And then, by taking the sum of all of these values, we can determine our capitalized cost, which will amount to 4,281,935.961. So basically, this is the amount of the capitalized cost that you are able to determine using your capitalized cost equation. And basically, kung nalilito kayo, just use the idea na you have to bring all of this to the present, no? Ganun lang naman siya. Even this, yung ating mga payments right here, etong mga perpetual annual payments natin na ginagawa, not annual, but every kth period. Diba? If you just try to take this back to your present, malalaman nyo na para siyang deferred, then one time period, and then deferred ulit, then one period. So, kung ibabalik mo lang siya individually, you could just imagine yung iyong compound factor, no? Which is yun nga, yung 1 plus I raised to n, which is the number of period mo, and then minus 1. So, basically, yun lang yung naging idea behind that. The first thing that you have to remember is to find what type of capitalized cost is this. So, yung nangyari kasi sa atin is type 3 siya. So, yun, we do apply this formula na CF plus A over I plus X, wherein yung X natin is S over 1 plus I raised to K minus 1. Now, let me just read this problem. The will of a wealthy philanthropist left 5 million to establish a perpetual charity foundation. The foundation trust is decided to spend 1.2 million to provide facilities immediately and to provide 100,000 of capital replacement at the end of each 5-year period. If the invested funds earn 12% per annum, what will be the year-end amount available in perpetuity from the endowment for charitable purposes? So, Tagalogin natin para mas maintindihan natin, no? Merong isang wealthy philanthropist. So, ito yung mga mayayaman na persons, so usually businessman. So, meron siyang 5 million na sa bank niya, no? And then, he wanted to use this to establish a charitable foundation. So, yun yung ginawa niya, no? And then, yung mga trustees niya, so ito yung mga tao na nasa foundation, no? Usually kasi sila yung parang pag merong gustong i-organize or gawin na certain charitable organization, yung mga trustees na nakaupo doon, sila yung parang mag-manage, sila yung mag-allocate ng budget na yun. So, yung mga trustees na yun, they decided to spend yung 1.2 million na from the 5 million, no, to provide yung facilities, and then you provide na 100,000 capital replacement at the end of each 5-year period. So, parang merong first cost tayo, which is yung 1.2 million, okay? Agarang yung gastos. And then yung 100,000 is parang perpetual maintenance or operational cost na charge natin sa every 5 years. So, yun yung K natin would be equal to 5. So, if the invested funds earned 12% per annum, what would be the year-end amount available in perpetuity from the endowment of charitable purposes? So, sabi dito din, if the invested funds earn 12% per annum, so yung ating fund even though ginagastos natin, nag-earn din siya in 12% rate of interest. And then, ang question is, what will be the year-end amount available? So, kung available, ano yung natira sa perpetuity natin from the endowment for charitable purposes. So, we'll be talking about yung charitable, yung value niya in terms of yung natira, which we can actually determine kapag nasa N period tayo, which is yung pag sobrang tagal na nung ating time. So, yun yung ating kukumputin for this. So, we can draw the cash flow diagram now since medyo meron tayong understanding. So, this is the time frame for that. And then, ito yung pera nung philanthropist. Let's say ito yung 5 million. Okay? And then, at the start, since yung foundation, gumastos sila for facilities. So, meron tayong 100K dito. And then, for every 5-year period, so nagkakaroon sila ng gastos ulit. So, let's have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 10. So, siguro okay na to, no? And then, let's have some time skip dito. And then, let's have dito yung ating N. Okay? So, with this, we also have, diba, this is your 1.2 million na nakuha. You also have a perpetual maintenance or operational cost that is charged every 5-year period. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, meron yan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So, yan. And then, 1, 2, may time skip dito. So, kahit di mo na siya lagyan ng dito, arrow down. Now, we can just have here yung 100K. This is 1.2 million. And then, this is your 5 million. Okay. Now, to approach this problem, we will try to bring all of this sa present natin. Sorry, parang future ata nasabi ko kanina. Sa present natin, no? So, ang kailangan lang natin actually dalhin is tong mga annual, or not annual, but operational cost for every 5-year period. So, yun lang naman kailangan natin dalhin. Kasi ito, we can just take the difference between these two and then we will be able to obtain yung ating answer. So, therefore, yung available na amount, let's say siguro yung value is M. Ito laging M ginagamit ko pag walang certain designation, no? So, alam naman natin na that would be your initial amount. Let's give this value letter P. So, yung P natin is 5 million. So, we have P. And then, yung ating initial na payment na ginamit, let's have this as your D. So, P minus D, so automatic yun agad yung gastos dito sa present natin, no, sa capitalized cost. And then, we subtract yung ating X, okay? Kasi nasa baba din siya. So, that is S over 1 plus I raised to K minus 1. So, therefore, pag sinubtract natin to, ito yung value na available para i-amortize natin into annual payments na makukuha natin in perpetuity. So, with this, your value of M would be equal to P, which is 5 million. So, 5 times 10 to the 6 minus 1.2 times 10 to the 6, and then minus, that is 100,000 divided by 1 plus 0.12 raised to, so your K is 5 and then minus 1. So, with this, yung M natin na value would be equal to, so this is equal to 3,668,825.223. Okay? So, itong M na to, ito yung kanyang magiging pera if you try to take all of this in the present, no? But the question here is that sabi dito, if the invested funds earn 12% per annum, what would be the year-end amount available in perpetuity from the endowment for charitable purposes? So, in short, itong M na to, na na-compute natin, we will try to amortize this sa year-end natin. So, parang mangyayari, magiging ganyan siya. I-amortize natin siya. So, up until itong N kasi perpetuity siya. So, assuming na ito yung ating value, no, and then yung ating, let's say this is your A. So, ang ating kailangan hanapin is yung value ng A natin kasi this is the amount that we will be amortizing. And knowing na ang ating annuity is actually perpetuity, we could just simply say na yung ating M would be equal to A over I. And therefore, A would be simply equal to the value of M times the interest rate. So that is 0.12 times 3,668,825.223. Okay, so this gives us a value of 440,259.0268. Okay, so yon ang ating annuity. Now, this is actually not annuity but perpetuity, no? Kasi, let's have an overview of what happened. Parang hinanap natin yung capitalized cost nung paggawa nung institution na yon, taking into account yung ating initial payment for the facilities as well as yung maintenance or operational cost every 5-year period. So, if you try to bring that to the present and then subtract the cost from the amount of money that has been invested by the philanthropist. So, magkakaroon pa tayo ng surplus ng money. And then, yung money na yun, i-amortize natin siya into equal payments from the second year up until the future. So, yung future na yun is actually your N. So, kung N yun, alam naman natin na that is perpetuity. And to find the value of that, the present would be equal to just the annuity divided by the interest rate. So, to find A, we have to multiply the value of the present that is accumulated based on the difference between these present values, no, times the interest rate. So we'll be able to get yung annuity, which is 440,000. Okay, so let's move forward sa next number. Now for this next problem is some kind of application sa paints, no. So we have two options para tong extended version ng ating mga decision making or yung ating present economy studies. So for number 23, we have the surface area of a certain plant that requires painting is 1,000 feet squared. So in short, same area lang yung pipintahan ng both paints. Two kinds of paint are available whose brands are A and B. So pwede natin siguro tong i-write yung mga given natin. So for paint A, we have the cost. So this is yung variable cost, no? That is 1.40 per feet squared. Okay, and then for B, the variable cost is actually equal to 1.8 per feet squared. So in short, mas matipid si B, pero we could see from here na yung renewal natin for A would be every 4 years. So yung K natin would be 4 years. And then how about this B? So yung B is 1.8 feet squared lang, no? And if money is worth 12%, so that is I is equal to 12%, no? How often should paint be renewed so that it shall have it should be as economical as paint A. So therefore, we need to find K here. And alam naman natin na na we can just lagyan natin ito ng mga A, no? K, V, B. Okay. So alam naman natin na mas economical dito yung A kasi mas mura siya, 'di ba? So yung B kasi mas mahal. So parang technically mas economical na siya. So the only compensation that B can make would be its period wherein mas matagal siyang mare-renew, no? Kasi kung mas matagal siyang mare-renew, most probably magkakaroon ng equal economic value, no? So that's the thing that we'll be looking for now. So in this case, let's multiply yung ating variable cost para magkaroon tayo ng total variable cost in times 8,000. So yun, 8,000 na yun, we'll be having that as the initial cost. So not really the initial cost but the variable cost. And alam naman natin na by painting this, mangyayari maging equivalent siya dun sa ating mga maintenance cost na ginagawa natin every K period. Now, let's determine yung ating maging working equation. So, since wala nga tayong K, pero meron tayong mga variable cost dito, let's determine, di ba, for capitalized cost, this is actually equal to the first cost and then the operational cost. And, saan natin kukuhanin ngayon yung ating first cost? So, remember, if you try to think of this as same lang yung variable cost nila all throughout the year, we can say na yung first cost natin for A would be coming from the first painting nung yun. Assuming na we use that brand. So that is 1.40 feet squared, diba? 1.4 pesos per feet squared. And then we multiply this by 8,000. So technically, this is your first cost, and this is equal to 11,200. So yung 11,200 na yun, first cost mo siya, and then upon for every renewal na supposedly is gagawin, so we have OC that is equal to let's say that's 11,200, and then divided by 1 plus 0.12 raised to 4 minus 1. So this is your OC. So maya ko na lang evaluate, no? Since di naman sobrang importante na evaluate agad natin to. Now, for your B, we could say na ganun lang din yung concept, no? It's just that we incorporate yung kanyang cost. So we have FCB that is equal to 1.80. So medyo mahal siya ng konti, and then 8,000. So with this, yung ating first cost for B would be equal to 14,400. Now, itong 14,400 na to, if you want to find the operational cost for every 4 years, then we have, for every K period, so we have 14,400 divided by 1 plus 0.12 raised to K minus 1. And then we need to find this KB na ito. So, equating this, kasi if you want to make this as economical as B, then we can equate this to, okay? And therefore, this becomes 11,200 plus 11,200 over 1 plus 0.12 raised to 4 minus 1. This is equivalent to 14,400 plus 14,400 divided by 1 plus 0.12 raised to K, and then minus 1. Now, solving for this, we could just find the value of our K of B, okay, which is the paint B. That is equal to, and you have to expect na kailangan mas mababa to. Mas mataas para mas matagal siyang mag-renew ng paint. So, parang ganun yung idea dito eh. Okay, so the answer for this problem is 5.5791 years. Okay, so yun, nakuha natin yung expected natin na value, which is larger than the 4 years ng ating paint A. And now that is to be expected kasi to be able to become, as economical as A, we could just imagine being that the renewal of this paint would be in a longer time period, no? Kasi kung mas mahal na nga siya, so expected natin na mas tatagal siya, 'di ba? Parang ganun na may idea. Pero kung ito mas mura, so expect natin na mas mabilis ma-worn out yung paint na 'yan, no? And you can just solve for this by applying yung ating concept ng ating capitalized cost, okay? So pwede 'yun, and then this is just parang something like yung ating previous studies din, yung mga present economy studies natin, ganun lang din yung concept niya. It's just that we're actually using an equation that is not yet given siguro sa sa previous discussions natin, kaya ganun. Pero anyway, this is just an application, and let's just move forward na dun sa last two problems natin. Okay?